Today we're going to be working on the trunk and talking about bodywork in general. Come along for the ride. Hi everybody, and welcome to the channel about kit cars and other car topics. If you like what you see, please subscribe and hit the notification buttons below and share with others on social media. So I'm sitting here with my Factory 5 33 Hot Rod version 2, and I've been in the middle of bodywork. And you know, bodywork is one of those things that a lot of people say, man, I'm terrified of it. You know, I'm just going to drop it off and let somebody else do it. And you know, I've always wanted to do painting bodywork myself. And of course, with this car, it's my first time doing this stuff. I have this, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to screw it up. I don't want to screw it up on my own vehicle. I'd rather, you know, patch a few things on another vehicle before I start on this one. And for the most part, I'll say it hasn't been too bad. I've already learned to paint a little bit. Not enough to actually paint the whole car, but enough to paint parts and things like that. And now I'm working on the bodywork. And, you know, even the bodywork people say, you know, don't do your own bodywork and then bring it to me to paint it because I'm just going to have to redo everything. And, you know, I'm not going to demify these guys for saying stuff like that, because I could see if you use, you know, Bondo in a certain area and then they paint over it, then it pops a year later and your paint's all jacked up. Like, I could see that. You know, they need to be able to, you know, be reliable with what they're doing. And, you know, if they have some kind of warranty or guarantee, I get that. But at the end of the day, what seems to be terrifying is not that bad. And this has actually turned out to be easier in general. I'm not saying like the last video I was working on my waterfall, that was like the hardest part of the car. Hopefully it was the hardest part of the car. I'm about halfway done right now. You know, but it just takes some time and some sandpaper. It's really not that bad. You know, what you don't want to do is go past the point of no return where you need to refill something in or buy a new part or something like that. So, you know, what's interesting is like this trunk piece. It looks like it's a square piece, but it's not. It's rounded. The edges of this area, I don't even think are really square. Like even the top one, which is flat, it's not really flat. It has a little bow to it. So, you know, you're trying to get this stuff to where it's dialed in without screwing it up and going too far. So we're going to be working on this trunk today, and we'll see how it goes. Now, earlier I said that I bought a Durablock kit, and this is the kit I'm talking about. What's cool about this kit, and I don't remember if I kind of went through it and showed everybody, but you got all sorts of different blocks. Like this is a medium block. I have a long block. I have a round block. Now this is what you saw me use in the last video when I was working on the holes for my roll bar. Having a round block was great to get those nice curvatures and get in there. Little square blocks, you know, a very thin block, and of course a small block. And each one allows you, you know, the longer the block you have is great for these long edges that you want to smooth out. And then shorter blocks to do, you know, smaller things. You know, I have this in the links below under like paint and tool supplies or something like that. Click on this and you could grab one of these things. It's great. And then you just get a roll of hook and loop fastener sandpaper and you just pop it right on. So, you know, it's not rocket science. You just got to spend your time. Now, I will say this. I'm spending a lot of hours doing this stuff. And not just because, you know, inexperience. Sure, I'm probably spending twice as much time as someone who's been around the block a few times, but it takes hours to do this because you need to do it in small increments so you're not screwing stuff up. If you've done it 100 times, sure, you could probably get to the point a lot quicker, and I get that. That's what expertise, you know, you pay for that expertise or you earn it as you learn. But if it's taken me 100 hours to do this bodywork or 300 hours or whatever, just to trim it in, you're paying somebody else, whatever it is, 40, 80 bucks an hour. What I don't know what the cost is. You're paying them $8 grand just to cut the body up, and then another $4 grand to prepare it and smooth it out, and then another $3 grand to paint it or whatever that is. you might as well do a lot of the rough stuff first and get it down to at least, you know, get half the work done. And then you won't be as, you know, wigged out the next time you want to try something because you've done it once. So for me, you know, I started cutting on the main body, little, you know, places that you weren't going to see with my little micro jigsaw, little sawzall type tool. And, you know, I picked my strategic areas of where to learn how to do this stuff. And then cutting in this trunk was the best one because it comes with an extra like 1/4 inch or, you know, 1/2 inch of extra material that you have to cut off for the opening of this. And you're doing straight lines basically. You can mark it off easily. There's a nice lip to go off of. It makes it really easy. And the best thing is that edge gets hidden once you put the actual weather stripping on. And so what better place to learn your skills right here in this the entry to the trunk. Now, that being said, what you do is you put this on after you're done with that, and then you put this on top of here so it's floating at the somewhat correct height, and then you have to match everything in. That's been a little bit difficult, and so it's just hard to see the lines and get it exact. So, you know, you have to go somewhere around 3/16 of a gap, and then all your primer and paint's going to kind of fill that gap back in halfway, so you're probably like 1/8 gap once you're done with all your paint. So you got a little room to move. I mean, there's some air that you could have and be like, oh, that's too far. Well, after you get past 3/16, that's too far, but not before that. And so I'm taking my time trimming this stuff in. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to keep working on this and see how far we get. I might have a few days over this video just to slowly work this thing in. And hopefully we could accomplish that. So it's going okay with the trunk, but it's so bad outside with the rain and everything that I can't really see what I'm doing. My glasses are fogging up. It's kind of an issue, and I need to have preciseness. Now, I did do some heavy cutting, and then you saw me take the long block and kind of smooth everything out, so I'm getting what I'll call finer lines in a sense, or more exact true lines. And it's still difficult to get this thing dialed in. So I'm gonna wait for a sunny day, and then I'm gonna tackle this more and hopefully finish this side of it. And then the next thing I need to do is bolt on the actual hinges and start getting this thing adjusted, getting the pole that holds this thing up in its upright position, things like that, all dialed in. So we finally got the trunk lid to finally sit inside the lip of the trunk area, where before it was kind of floating on top. And so, you know, we spent a lot of time getting to that point, and I'm just trying to be cautious so I don't have to, you know, screw it up and order another part. But that's all for this video. In the next video, we'll actually trim this thing into size. Have a great day.